With God Eater 2 finally on Western shores, and a new game potentially being in the works, I gave God's Eater Burst a go. Here are my thoughts. It's a very solid experience that plays directly into a game style that I love. That sort of Monster Hunter boss battle the game sort of style. Comparing it to similar games, I can see a lot of what this game has to offer to people put off by the likes of Monster Hunter. I also enjoy the story, the fact that tutorials are optional, and the primary mechanic of switching between long and short range combat on the fly. Now for the elephant in the room. Comparing the God Eater games to Monster Hunter isn't really fair to either series. However, action RPGs that are entirely an excuse for multiplayer co-op battles against mostly boss-level monsters can't help but feel similar. Taking on missions to fight X-boss monster to gain money and materials to improve your loadout is the primary mission statement of each game, but a few key points differentiate them from each other. Just enough so I don't want to screen a rip-off. First off, we have the basic difference, that of setting and plot. God Eater is post-apocalyptic in a more obvious manner than Monster Hunter. Its setting and tone feel immensely similar to Shin Megami Tensei. It also has higher focus on single player. This includes a formal plot going on between the missions, as well as AI characters, so you can play properly, even if you are a Billy No-Mates like me. But that's not the biggest difference. The biggest difference is one of core gameplay. Monster Hunter is a famous tough but fair game, where attacks you have to commit to are the deal of the day, very much like the Souls games. Compared to most games of its type, it's a slow and considered experience. Every action has its cost. Here is the important difference between Monster Hunter and God Eater. God Eater is zippy. You quickly switch between attack modes, evasive maneuvers are quick to the point, you're less prone to being interrupted halfway through an action. This doesn't make the game easier as much as different. More missions in this game are focused on fighting multiple origami, and your character doesn't have the highest defense in the world. Enemies and their attacks can be very fast and can be very easy to get surrounded and isolated from your team. Also, this game isn't as much about upgrading your armor. In fact, there's very little upgrading of your armor in this game at all. The closest you can really have is upgrading your shield. Almost every upgrade is related to your attack loadout. The closest to defensive equipment mostly give you different skills. There are a lot of different outfit options, but none of these really do anything. They're all aesthetic. The environments in Monster Hunter are a collection of arenas, for want of a better term. This is very similar to how things are in God Eater, but in God Eater, the arenas are a lot wider, connected together. As opposed to getting lots of small maps, you have one large continuous one. Since so much of this is post-apocalyptic Japan, there's not really as much variety in terms of visuals here as you'll see in Monster Hunter games that can't really go for stereotypical biomes. However, I do think there is a decent level of atmosphere here. The way you fight bosses, as well as being nippier and faster, also has more of a focus on attacking individual parts of the monster. I will concede that there is an aspect of this in Monster Hunter when you cause damage to individual sections. But in God Eater, you won't make any headway unless you know the exact spots to hit and how to hit them. Once you know this, some aspects of the learning process in this game feel a lot more organic than they do in Monster Hunter. In summation, this game is definitely worth your time. It's a very, very good alternative to Monster Hunter, and the fact that it's on PC really will set it apart. I think this will be very much a game to watch out for. I've been finding the plot interesting, I've been finding the gameplay interesting. I really do think this is probably something that you should have a look at if you're interested in this kind of Monster Hunter style game.